In California, whenever I want to start a conversation with someone I have just met, one question I always ask is, what do you do? I often get one-line responses like, I am a consultant, or I am an engineer. On a recent trip back home in Ghana, I started a similar conversation on a 4-hour bus ride from Accra, the capital, to Kumasi, where I come from. I started a conversation with Kwame, a gentleman seated next to me. What do you do? I asked. He gave me a paragraph of information in response. In fact, I believe he gave me a chapter worth of details just on the topic of his occupation. It went like this. I am a lecturer, but I also operate a car wash business on the part-time. I have recently discovered an arbitrage in buying fish from the Volta region and selling in Kumasi for 50% profit margin, and my wife is helping me expand that business. For the next 30 minutes of our ride, Kwame went on to discuss the numerous business opportunities he is thinking of pursuing, from exporting cashew to Germany and processing shea butter. He ended by expressing his interest in quitting his job as a lecturer to focus on entrepreneurship full-time. At this time, I feared for him, so I proceeded to tell him why he would fail. I used every entrepreneurial framework I have learned at Stanford, carefully telling him to focus on one opportunity. Afterwards, I took a deep breath, and we both fell in silence for the rest of the 4-hour journey. As I sat in silence, I looked out the window, and I saw the dozens of hawkers that would rush towards our bus at every bus stop, selling us everything from toothpaste to snacks to phone recharge cards, and I began to fall into the reality of where I was. This is Africa. There is a decent amount of the population that wake up every single morning not quite sure of the deal of the day. If it is too hot, you sell iced water. If it is raining, you sell umbrellas. And then if it's Christmas time, you sell cookies. You don't need a business address, formal business registration, or any formal training. You just need logical strategies of survival. It wasn't just about where I was. What I saw looking out the window on a 7-hour journey in the Philippines wasn't different from what I saw on a 2-hour train ride in India and a 7-hour bus trip in Mexico. And it wasn't different from what I was seeing in Ghana. Kwame's intro revealed to me the fabric of the local economy, which I completely ignored in giving him advice. Our conversation was about the informal economy. The term informal economy refers to any economic activity that is in law or in practice not sufficiently covered by formal arrangements. There are 2 billion people employed in the informal economy, which is 60% of the world's working population. It is mostly present in developing countries, but it exists everywhere else in the world. In advanced economies like the US and Europe, humanity is grappling with the fear of AI and robotics technologies. And the question on everyone's mind is, how can we adapt to this talent mobility revolution? My answer is, learn about the informal economy. It is a place in the world where people are experts in embracing and artists in navigating life's difficulties. I believe learning about the informal economy is helpful in preparing us towards a future where most of us would be self-employed. Yes, there are currently 162 million people who are self-employed in the US and in Europe. For some of them, it is out of choice, but for others, it is out of necessity. Whichever your position is, here are 3 skills you can learn from people who are working in the informal economy to help you better prepare for the future of work. The first skill is adaptability. The KJTR market is the largest open-air market in West Africa, and it is located in my hometown, Kumasi. It has 45,000 stores made out of concrete floors, wooden slabs, and aluminum roofing sheets. With a wide variety of business activities, it faces at least 3 major fire outbreaks every year. After every fire, store owners wail, count their losses, but go back to work the next day like nothing happened. On one such occasion, I visited a market 2 days after fire gutted 150 stores. I was standing right in the spot, but to my surprise, there was no sign of the fire. Rather, fresh paint and business as usual. There are so many shocks in the informal economy, but fear and uncertainty isn't one of them. To move forward in times of disruption, we would need to learn how to embrace chaos in order to adapt. The second skill I would like to share is diversification. One thing that surprises me about living in the US is most people tend to focus pretty much on one career. I come from a culture where almost everyone has a side hustle or a side gig. The concept of a side hustle is having a blend of jobs. It's like having a full-time job and a part-time job, or having multiple independent jobs. Just like the street hawker switches from selling iced water to umbrellas just by studying the weather, having a diversified career is helpful in adjusting to shifts in the market. One thing that is very addictive, which we talk little about, is the concept of a salary. If you have an opportunity to generate multiple streams of income, take it. It changes how you think. The last skill I would like to discuss is relationships. The informal economy is a large network of people not connected by business cards, but by trust. My mother introduces herself as a businesswoman, period. But let me provide you more details. She has a 9-to-5 job as a high school administrator and a portfolio of side hustles. As a kid, I remember she used to work, she used to buy clothes, bill of clothes, and distribute in small lots to fashion shops. She later went on into coconut oil processing, and she had to develop relationships with food chains and restaurants to sell through them. 7 years ago, she came up with an excellent idea. She wanted to travel to China to manufacture products and import into Ghana. It was crazy. Aside the fact that she wasn't quite sure what she would sell this time, she didn't even have a passport. But just like that, my mother graduated into an international businesswoman. For someone with a full-time job, didn't even own a retail store or a warehouse, all her successes came from phone calls and developing the right relationships. People in the informal economy have 3 skills we could all use: adaptability, diversification, and relationship building. Research suggests that by next year, 50% of the US workforce would be self-employed, working as independent contractors or independent workers. I implore you to think forward. It is 2035, and we are living in the disruptive economy. We meet somewhere, and I ask you, what do you do? How would you introduce yourself? Thank you.